Hi guys, it's the Liberal Conservative here, back again with another video. So today I want to talk about something that made me stop, laugh a little, and then actually think. TPUSA's All-American Concert versus the Super Bowl. Yeah, that comparison. Everyone is talking about the Super Bowl, and honestly, rightfully so. But last week, TPUSA tried something different. They held their own All-American Concert as an alternative celebration happening at the exact same time as the Super Bowl halftime. And when you put those two things side by side, the difference in reach is pretty eye-opening. If you've been online at all lately, you've probably seen TPUSA supporters hyping this concert up like it was some kind of cultural moment, like it was the conservative answer to the Super Bowl halftime show, a statement, a flex. And naturally, people started asking the obvious questions. Who actually watched it? Who actually watched TPUSA's All-American Concert? Now, before anyone gets defensive, let me say this up front. This isn't about dunking on people for their taste in music, politics, or patriotism. This is about influence, reach, and how online hype doesn't always match reality, because those are two different things. They are two very different things. Let's start with the Super Bowl for a second. The Super Bowl is one of the few events left that cut across everything: politics, age, culture, race, ideology. People who don't care about football watch it. People who hate football watch it. People just there for the commercials watch it. People waiting for the halftime show watch it. It's not even really about sport anymore. It's a shared cultural event. Now, compare that to TPUSA's All-American Concert. This wasn't designed for everyone like the Super Bowl halftime show is. It wasn't even designed for most Americans. It was designed for a very specific audience: young conservatives, TPUSA supporters, people already in that ecosystem. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. To be fair to TPUSA, their reasoning wasn't hard to figure out. From their perspective, the Super Bowl represents something they think mainstream culture has become: commercialized, celebrity-driven, not very faith-focused, and definitely not conservative. So the All-American Concert was meant to be a counter-programming move, something rooted in faith, family, patriotism. This is our culture moment. In theory, that makes sense. If you feel excluded from mainstream media or culture, you try to build your own. The problem isn't the idea, it's the execution and the comparison. Online, the way this event was talked about made it sound like a massive cultural disruption, like we're taking attention away from the Super Bowl, like this is the real America kind of thing. But when you zoom out, that claim kind of falls apart. Because if something truly rivals the Super Bowl, you don't need to keep telling people how big it is. People just know. It shows up in numbers, in mainstream conversation, in people who aren't already fans talking about it. And that didn't really happen here. I think that most people, even politically engaged people, either didn't know it was happening or didn't care. And that's not an insult, that's just reality. What TPUSA is very good at, and I'll give them credit for this, is creating the feeling of momentum inside their bubble. Inside their bubble, I'll say it again. What they are good at is creating the feeling of momentum inside their bubble. If you're already following the right accounts, watching the right clips, reading the right comments, it can feel like everyone's talking about it. But that's not the same as actually reaching outside the bubble. And that's the bigger point I want to make. There's a difference between cultural relevance and internal validation. There's a big difference. The Super Bowl doesn't need to brand itself as American. It just is, It doesn't need to announce that it's won the culture war. It just exists and people show up. TPUSA's concert, on the other hand, needed constant framing, constant comparison, constant reassurance that it mattered. And when you have to keep asking, did we beat them or who really watched? That usually answers the question. Now, this is where things start to feel a little inconsistent. TPUSA framed this event as a celebration of faith and family values, which again, fine. But then you look at some of the performers like Kidrock and you kind of pause. Not saying people can't enjoy his music, but it does raise a question. What exactly was the cultural message here? Because it felt less like a faith-centered gathering and more like political branding wrapped in nostalgia. Now here's the part where I want to be very careful with my words. Some people online have been speculating about view counts and engagement during the TPUSA All-American Concert live stream. A few YouTubers pointed out that the live chat didn't seem very active relative to the numbers being shown on screen. I'm not saying TPUSA bought views. I don't have proof of that. But we do know objectively that companies, political organizations, and media outlets sometimes boost visibility through art, promotions, or artificial traffic. So at minimum, it raises fair questions about how we measure success online. Views alone don't tell the full story. Engagement matters, participation matters, and organic interest matters. And even if the views were completely legitimate, I'm sure some people tuned in purely out of curiosity or just to see what was going on, or even to laugh, clip it, and move on. Because right now, the TPUSA All-American Concert is at 20 million views. How? When even Charlie Kirk's memorial is not at that number. And when you look at the views compared to the number of likes and comments, it just does not match. You can go check it out. Meanwhile, on the other hand, on the other side of the screen, the Super Bowl was doing what it always does. Millions of people watching, families gathering, people who don't even care about football still tuning in. Reports afterward highlighted just how massive the viewership gap was between a mainstream cultural event like the Super Bowl and a niche political live stream like TPUSA's concert. And that contrast didn't go unnoticed in the media. Who knows? The Super Bowl may have also brought views, but we can all agree that the Super Bowl has been going on for longer and generally has a larger audience. So we are more likely to believe those numbers. The Super Bowl halftime show garnered over 135 million views, 2 million more than last year's views with Kendrick Lamar's performance. This time, Bad Bunny performed. And I tend to think that because a Puerto Rican was performing, that even fueled TPUSA more to hold this all-American, in quote, concert. You know, to mock people that are Americans, but Americans refuse to acknowledge Puerto Ricans. Anyway, the halftime show alone drew more attention and conversation than the entire TPUSA event combined. 135 million views as compared to 10.20 million views as of today, the 10th of February, as I'm recording this, right? Whether people loved it or hated it, they talked about it. Clips went viral, debates followed. That's cultural impact, not because everyone agrees, but because everyone engages. That's the difference. And let me be honest with you guys for a second. Did I fully understand everything that was happening at the Super Bowl? No. Did I catch every reference, every performance detail, every cultural cue for the Super Bowl halftime performance by Bad Bunny? No. But did I feel something? Did I appreciate the shared moment, the atmosphere, the culture around it? Yeah, I did. And that's kind of the point. If TPUSA had held this concert at a different time, not directly competing with the Super Bowl, I honestly think more people would have appreciated it for what it was instead of what it was trying to prove. Because once you frame something as us versus them, people stop enjoying it and start judging it. So this isn't really about who won. It's about understanding the difference between building a community and claiming cultural dominance. One is realistic, the other is aspirational at best. So I'm curious what you think. Did you even know about the All-American Concert before seeing it online? Did you watch it? Do you think events like this actually compete with mainstream culture, or are they more about community building? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, respectfully as always. I actually do read them. And if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow and helps more people find these conversations. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.